Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Different Point of View. I'm Kunita, your host, and without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So, today's topic is, and I'm talking to the ladies specifically, overinflating your value. Ladies, stop overinflating your value. Now, before I go any further, let me produce this disclaimer. You have value. So when I say do not overinflate your value, I'm not saying by default that you do not have value. You have value. You have value in a sense that you are a human being, you are a child of God. So therefore, there are certain prerequisites that come with that. So you should be treated with respect. You should be treated with dignity. You should be treated with consideration. You should never allow anyone to mistreat you. You have value. But when I say do not overinflate your value, what I'm saying is that you may not qualify for the top 3% of men. You may not be in a position to demand from a guy that he make 6 figures. You may not be able to demand from a guy that he's highly educated. You may not be able to demand from a guy that he's 6'2", charming, very, very handsome. Depending upon what your marketplace value is, you may not be able to demand that. Quite honestly, the guy that is the bus driver, that might be your guy. The guy that works at the post office, that might be your guy. Mess around, the guy that works, matter of fact, the guy that is a manager at McDonald's, that might be your future husband. Most of us are average. So because most of us are average, we only qualify for another average person. But what I'm noticing, particularly among ladies, is that a lot of you are average at best, but you're demanding above average men. So you may find yourself in a very difficult situation. You may have really shrunk your pool of men. So let me give an example of something, okay? I drive a 2007 Ford Expedition, a very average car. My car at best might be worth $6,000 on its best day. Okay? So, but the car has value, right? I mean, I could get something out of it, but if I tried to sell my car and I tried to sell it for $50,000, $60,000, I'm going to be very disappointed. And actually, only a sucker would pay $50,000, $60,000 for that car. Because if I'm expecting $50,000, $60,000 for that car, I'm overinflating the value of my car. And by me overinflating the value of my car, it is not serving me. And I think part of the problem is that a lot of us look at that word average as an insult. I'm very in tune with my averageness. I am a very average guy. And I don't see calling myself average as insulting. I mean, if we actually look at what average means, average just means you're not at the very top and you're not at the very bottom. So most people are average. And I'm okay being among the class with most people. So if you are average looking, you may not qualify for a supermodel or the most handsomest person. If you are an average earner, you may not qualify for a billionaire or millionaire. I mean, most of us are average, and we need to put our averageness into a certain context and stop looking at it so offensively. Because when we have a conversation of average, what I think that we need to understand is that 80% or even 75% of average people do not qualify for 3% of the population. Now, I want to talk to black women specifically, though. And I think part of the problem, particularly when it comes to black women, is that your self-esteem is constantly under assault. I mean, most women, period, right? They're always putting out these ridiculous standards of beauty, and if you don't, you need to look like this, and you need to be a size 2 and a size 0, and you're just being bombarded with these standards of beauty that are just insane. And I think that black women in particular are constantly being devalued. And it starts from the time that you are maybe in the 7th grade, maybe even as young as 6th grade. Okay, you're always told that you're nothing. You're always told that you're this and you're not that. You're not that. I especially notice it with black girls, and I notice it when they're transforming into black women. So sometimes, because you've been devalued so much, to overinflate your value, it may be a reaction. It may be a response to how you've been treated for such a long time. And I understand that, and I get it. The problem is that type of unsubstantiated temerity actually starts to work against you, and it may be what's adding to part of why 75%, over 75% of black women are going to be unmarried and will never get married. So, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please like, share, and subscribe, and support the merch. Black Sit. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Different Point of View. Peace.